Good evening, Dr. Cambiano. This is Project 3. My name is Andy Rice, and my learning theory is that students with a supportive background, which include families, guardians, communities, and schools, have the best chance of success throughout school and life. And so what I started off with is I looked at Dunn and Dunn, I looked at Jung, and I looked at Cobb's learning theories and his styles. And what I found that they all have in common is that they all deal with experience. So like with the Dunn and Dunn, you're dealing with environmental, emotional, sociological, physiological, and psychological. And so those all happen from experiences. And then I looked at Jung's, and his is sensing, thinking, feeling, intuition, which to me still deal with an experience type sensation. And then Cobb's, which was mainly focused on experience, his was working on the accommodative learning style, or diverging, convergent, assimilating, which all dealt with the experiences that happened to the learner. And so that was kind of where my theory came back. And I also got that from 17 years of teaching. We see the kids that are successful and we see the kids that are not. And we're able to put two and two together. So what I found was that the strategies that made my theory, which I've also found was not a new theory, but what made my theory so successful were these six. And the first one was engaging parents in their children's learning through social networks. Number 2 was empowering parents with leadership roles in the school environment. Number 3, providing parents with classes to help with their own education or their child's education. Number 4, providing families with opportunities to engage with their children's education at home and at school. Number 5 was schools that reach out to families and the community. And then finally, parents who have high expectations for their children. And so, as I mentioned, the first one, which was the social networks. The social networks, the strength that lies in it is that parents can talk to one another. They can build that bond with one another. And what that does is that gives them confidence to parent. And when they're doing that, they're establishing connections with other parents, but they're also establishing connections with other children. So what that does is it makes it a large family to reach out to. And so the fact that it's a social network, and with all the technology we have, you're also looking at resident and youth type leaders, but you're also looking at the whole community organization that can benefit these kids and help them out. So that's where social networks came in. The second one was parent leadership. And so when I say parent leadership, what I mean is that they are involved with their children's school. And so what we're wanting to do with that type of thing is empower parents to exercise their leadership within the school. So one of the studies showed that the school that is working with the PTA very closely and empowering the PTA also aided in the school making decisions throughout the parents. And so when they become a vested individual with that school, then all of a sudden it's going to mean more to them to make sure that their child is also doing well. So when the PTA is actually able to help other parents understand new education reforms, create parent leaders, and train other parents how to become involved in efforts to improve their children's school, what you're doing is also becoming or building a legacy in that school to help them out as well. The third one was the parent classes. To me, this is probably one of the most brilliant ones, because what you're doing is at the school, you're reaching out to the parent. You're reaching out to the community to get them involved. And as teachers, we know that involved parents generally equal a good success in our classes. So the parent classes, what I found through the studies that I looked up, the most successful classes were the ones that basically helped with improving literacy, and that's not just the children's literacy, but actually even the parents' literacy as well. and you're building up the educational level of the parents. So the other one was focused on improving parenting skills. Sometimes we have younger parents that they weren't raised what we would, I guess, conventionally, and so what happens is they learn how to be parents, and so these type of skills can also work with the discipline factor, or just the basically how to care for a child and nurture them so that they do want to learn. School advocacy was another class that was looking very beneficial. English as a second language. So obviously, depending on where you live in the United States, English might not be your first language, and so just that right there is going to be a huge help for confidence and to help people out. And then, last but not least, college preparation. So I know, being in the high school level, we still have parents who have a kid that are right on the verge of graduating, but yet don't know the process, don't know what they need to do, and they're completely lost when it comes to that. And so those type of classes not only will give them confidence in helping their child, but also make the situation much more real for them to understand that this is about to happen. And so it's more of an investment into their education. The fourth one was the family engagement at home. Family engagement at home, which to me was the most crucial one. But this is the one where families are engaging, as a complete unit, and so, mom or dad or guardian, whoever it is, they're helping with homework. They are putting emphasis on the rules and the routine. In other words, they're building a structure for that kid and showing them, hey, this is how it's done. And so, the benefit is that the studies show that this also translates to better behavior at school. And so, so not only are we getting a better educational process, but we're helping them with their behavior. This also helps them with their attendance. So studies showed that when we had a stronger parent involvement, when the family was engaged, we were seeing, like I said, better behavior and better attendance. So obviously, the more they're at school, the more they're going to be able to learn and soak up that knowledge. Okay, engagement also was considered about just when the kid comes home, talking about his or her day. How did that go? What were the highs? What were the lows of your day? Regardless, bad or good, the fact that you were talking to them about their day shows the importance of what they're doing and that it means something to you as a parent. And then other engagements also were reading with your children, providing enrichment activities, and then even teaching children a sport. So, there's several other studies that show, activities, once again, the done and done, we're looking at different types of learning styles, but even the sport learning is just showing them that they can learn. You're building confidence the whole time is what you're doing. The fifth one is schools that reach out to families and vice versa. So basically an open relationship between the school and the community. And so what we noticed there was that all the studies showed that you had positive association when there was more increased communication between home and school. And this actually benefited almost all subjects. And so what the benefits were, the major benefits were, was that you had an increased trust between the parents and the staff, increased positive interactions with the staff, and last but not least, these people are going to feel welcome when they come to the school. We don't want them to feel like they don't belong or they aren't good enough to be there. We want them to know that the staff want to help them, want to see the benefits and the productivity of their children. So when this happens, you get to see a complete change in the culture of the community itself. And so this basically benefits, like I said, the kids, but it benefits the families. And then you get that engagement and everything else that comes with it when you've got a trusting community to go into the school. And finally, my last one is the basically when you have a expectation, and as teachers, we know that when we expect our kids at a high manner, that they meet those expectations, and so when we expect low, they meet with the low side as well. So what we wanted to look at for family expectations is that the studies showed that when we had high expectations of students, it led to a stronger drive, and more likely they showed improvement in whatever they were doing. And this was not just certain subjects. This actually was shown in all. So if I'm a parent and I have high expectations of them, the kid is going to work their hardest to meet that expectation. And so some of the essential supports for having these high expectations are having like a coherent instructional guidance system. Something that's going to provide structure, but something that's going to let them know what it is, how to attain it, and what you're going to do, good or bad, for that reinforcement. A student-centered learning climate. So that basically entails, what is it that I'm going to do for you to make sure that you are successful? You're the importance here. And so as far as we focus on the students, we're showing them that they mean something and that this is an important factor for them. And then finally, family leadership. And so I guess the first time I read that, it made me think that, my kids don't even understand that they don't have the possibility of not going to college. I think it's just between my wife and I, we have the expectation that they will go to college, they will be successful that way, and we go from that angle. And so what we're expecting here is that parents are going to communicate clear educational goals and values and discuss what future plans they have. And so the more we talk about it, the more real it becomes. So I've got a son right now who he's dead set on being a pilot, and so what we want to do is talk to him about what are your possibilities. Is it the Air Force? Is it Spartan? What school is going to get you where you want to go? And so that way we can make it tangible, we can make it real, and it's a true thought. It's not just a dream, but it's a plan of action to get them moving. So these are what I have learned for basically supporting my learning theory, that when we have supports in place, what we are doing is just adding success or adding to the possibility of success, that these students can do what they want, they can grow, and they have that background, they have the leadership, they have the engagement to help them out and the support to help them out. And so the idea is that not one single item that I chose is going to be the fix all, the win all. It's a combination of these. And I think the more we're able to combine, the more we're able to grow, the more we are able to have success for these kids. And so my final thought, and what I basically wanted to sum up with all the studies that I read and all the studies and learning styles that I looked at, was that all they reveal is that there is a connection between family engagement, school improvement, and student outcomes. Schools and districts should focus not only on family engagement, but also on establishing strong partnerships and relationships with families and communities. These relationships and partnerships take time to build, but can lead to benefits for students and school. Really enjoyed this assignment. I actually went way deeper in the weeds than I probably needed, but I actually learned so much from it. So overall, great project, and had a lot of fun looking it up. Thank you, ma'am. Good night.